Hi, hello. The pink shoes are coming, I promise. But for right now, I gotta read this book, so I need y'all to read it with me. This is gonna be called Regal Reads. Today, we are reading chapter 1 of John C Maxwell's 25th anniversary edition of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, revised and updated. Follow them, and people will follow you. Let's get into it. Chapter 1, The Law of the Lid. Here we go, reigning champs. How well you lead determines how well you succeed. I have often opened my leadership conferences by explaining the law of the lid because it helps people understand the value of leadership. If you can get a handle on this law, you will see the incredible impact of leadership on every aspect of life. So here it is. How well you lead determines how well you succeed. Leadership is the lid to your potential. The lower your leadership ability, the lower the lid on your potential. The higher your leadership ability, the higher the lid on your potential. To give you an example, if your leadership operates at an 8 out of 10, then your effectiveness can never be greater than a 7. If your leadership is only a 4, then your effectiveness with others will be no higher than a 3. How well you are able to lead, for better or for worse, always determines your effectiveness with others and the potential of your team. How well you lead determines how well you succeed. Looking for an opportunity. Let me tell you a story that illustrates the law of the lid. In 1932, young brothers named Dick and Maurice moved from New Hampshire to California in search of the American dream. They had just gotten out of high school and they saw few opportunities back home, so they headed straight for Hollywood, where they eventually found jobs on a movie studio set. After a while, their entrepreneurial spirit and interest in the entertainment industry prompted them to open a theater in Glendale, a town about 5 miles northeast of Hollywood. But despite all their efforts, the brothers just couldn't make the business profitable. The brothers' desire for success was strong, so they kept looking for better business opportunities. Drive-in restaurants were a new phenomenon, springing up in the early 30s as people became more dependent on cars. Rather than eating in a dining room, customers placed orders with car hops and received their food on trays right in their cars. Back then, food was served on dinner plates, complete with glassware and metal utensils. In 1937, Dick and Maurice opened a small drive-in restaurant in Pasadena, and it was a great success. In 1940, they decided to move the operation to San Bernardino, a working-class boomtown 50 miles east of Los Angeles, built a larger facility, and expanded their menu from hot dogs, fries, and shakes to include barbecued beef and pork sandwiches, hamburgers, and other items. Their business exploded. Annual sales reached $200,000, and the brothers found themselves splitting $50,000 in profits every year, a sum that put them in the town's financial elite. In 1948, their intuition, told them that times were a-changing. They eliminated the car hops, started serving only walk-up customers, and streamlined everything to reduce their cost and lower their prices. They reduced their menu and put their focus on selling hamburgers. They eliminated plates, glassware, and metal utensils, switching to paper products instead. They also created what they called the Speedy Service System. Their kitchen became like an assembly line where each employee focused on service with speed. The brothers' goal was to fill each customer's order in 30 seconds or less, and they succeeded. By the mid-1950s, annual revenue hit $350,000, and by then, Dick and Maurice split net profits of about $100,000 each year. Who were these brothers? You've probably already guessed their last name, McDonald. Dick and Maurice McDonald had hit their great American jackpot, and the rest, as they say, is history, right? Wrong. The McDonald's never went any farther because their leadership put a lid on their ability to succeed. The story behind the story, which is one of my favorite stories, go watch The Founder immediately. It's true that the McDonald brothers were financially secure. Theirs was one of those most profitable restaurant enterprises in the country, and they felt that they had a hard time spending all the money they made. Their genius was in customer service and kitchen organization. In fact, their talent was so widely known in food service circles that people started writing them and visiting their restaurant from all over the country to learn more about their methods. At one point, they received as many as 300 calls and letters every month. That led them to the idea of marketing the McDonald's concept. The idea of franchising restaurants wasn't new. It had been around for several decades. To the McDonald brothers, it looked like a way to make money without having to open another restaurant themselves. In 1952, they got started, but their efforts was a dismal. The reason was simple. They lacked the leadership necessary to make a larger enterprise effective. Dick and Maurice were good single restaurant owners. They understood how to run a business, make their systems efficient, cut costs, and increase profits. They were efficient managers, but they were not great leaders. Their thinking patterns clamped a lid down on what they could do and become. At the height of their success, Dick and Maurice found themselves smack dab against the law of the lid. The brothers partnered with a better leader. Then in 1954, the brothers met Ray Kroc. He had been running a small company that sold machines for making milkshakes. Kroc knew that the McDonald brothers because their restaurant was one of his best customers. After visiting their store, he had a vision for its potential. He could see the restaurant going nationwide in hundreds of markets. He soon struck a deal with Dick and Maurice, and in 1955, he formed McDonald's Systems, Inc., later called the McDonald's Corporation, right from under their nose. In the years that Dick and Maurice McDonald had attempted to franchise their food service system, they managed to sell the concept to just 15 buyers, only 10 of whom actually opened restaurants. And even in that size enterprise, their limited leadership and vision were hindrances. For example, with their first franchise, Neil Fox of Phoenix told the brothers that he wanted to call his restaurant McDonald's. Dick's response was, "What for? McDonald's means nothing in Phoenix." Kroc thought and led differently. He immediately bought the rights to the franchise so that he could use it as a model and prototype, and he could sell franchises to others. Between 1955 and 1959, Kroc succeeded in opening 100 restaurants. 4 years after that, there were 500 McDonald's restaurants. During his first 8 years with McDonald's, he took no salary and borrowed money from the bank and against his life insurance to help cover the salaries of a few key leaders he wanted on the team. He had the vision and ability to make McDonald's a nationwide entity. And in 1961, for the sum of $2.7 million, Kroc bought the exclusive rights to McDonald's from the brothers, and he proceeded to turn it into an American institution and global entity that we all know today. Today, McDonald's has opened more than 38,000 restaurants in 120 countries. In 2019, it recorded a net income of $61 billion, and its net worth is estimated at $170 billion, and it's still growing. None of that would have occurred without Ray Kroc. The leadership of the McDonald's brothers had been the lid of the business, whereas Kroc had blown the lid off. Success without leadership. I believe that personal success is within the reach of just about everyone, but I also believe that the better you can lead, the greater you can succeed. The higher you want to climb and the greater success you want to achieve, the more you will need leadership. The greater the impact you want to make, the greater your influence needs to be. Whatever you will accomplish is restricted by your ability to lead others. Let me give you a picture of what I mean. Hold your left hand in front of you, palm down. That represents your leadership level. If your leadership level is low, hold your hand down at waist level. I don't leadership level that. If it's average, hold it chest high. Now put out your right hand below it. That's your success. Here's the reality of leadership and success. Your success hand can never go higher than your leadership hand. It will always bump up against it. I'll explain it another way. Let's say when it comes to success, you're an 8 on a scale from 1 to 10. That's pretty good. I think it would be safe to say that the McDonald brothers were in that range. But let's also say that leadership isn't even on your radar. You don't care about it, and you make no effort to develop as a leader. You're functioning as a 1. Your level of effectiveness would look like this. And there's an illustration. Got to get the book to see it. To increase your level of effectiveness, you have a couple of choices. You could work very hard to increase your dedication to success and excellence, to work toward becoming a 10. It's possible that you could make it to that level through the law of diminishing returns. Though the law of diminishing returns says that the effort it would take to increase those two last points might take more energy than it did to achieve the first 8. If you really killed yourself, you might increase your success by that 25%. But you have another option. You can work hard to increase your level of leadership. Let's say that your natural leadership ability is a 4, slightly below average. Just by using whatever natural talent you have, you already increase your effectiveness 4-fold. But let's say you become a real student of leadership and you maximize your potential. You take it all the way up to a 7. Visually, the results will look like this. By raising your leadership ability without increasing your success dedication at all, you can increase your original effectiveness by 600%. Leadership has a multiplying effect. I've seen its impact again and again in all kinds of businesses and non-profit organizations, and that's why I've taught leadership for more than 50 years. Go ahead, John. To change the direction of the organization, change the leader. Woo-wee! Leadership ability is always the lid on personal and organizational success. If a person's leadership is strong, but the team's or organization's leadership is high. But if it's not, then it's limited. That's why in times of trouble, organizations naturally look for new leadership. When the country is experiencing hard times, it elects a new president. When a company is losing money, it hires a new CEO. When a church is floundering, it searches for a new senior pastor. When a sports team keeps losing, it searches for a new head coach. The relationship between leadership and effectiveness is perhaps most evident in sports, where results are immediate and obvious. Within professional sports organizations, the talent on the team is usually not the issue. Leadership is the issue. It starts with the team's owner and continues with the coaches and some key players. When the leaders are at every level are good, the team has a good chance to win a championship. When the leadership is poor at any level, the team rarely succeeds. Wherever you look, you can find smart, talented, successful people who are able to go only so far because of the limitations of their leadership. For example, when Apple got started in the late 1970s, Steve Wozniak was the brains behind the Apple computer. His leadership lid was low, but that was not the case for his partner, Steve Jobs. His lid was so high that he built a world-class organization and made it one of the most valuable businesses in the world. That's the impact of the law of the lid. When I lived in San Diego, I met Don Stevenson, the chairman of Global Hospitality Resources, Inc., an international hospitality advisory and consulting firm. Over lunch, I asked him about organization. At that time, his company was taking over the management of hotels and resorts that weren't doing well financially. His company oversaw many excellent facilities such as La Costa in Southern California. Don said that whenever his people went into organization to take it over, they always started by doing 2 things. First, they trained the staff to improve services to customers. And second, they fired the leader. When he told me that, I was surprised. You always fire him? I asked. Every time? That's right, every time, he said. Don't you talk to the person first to check out to see if he's a good leader? I asked. No, he answered. If he'd been a good leader, the organization wouldn't be in the mess it's in. And I thought to myself, of course, it's the law of the lid. To reach the highest level of success, you must raise the lid one way or another. The good news is that getting rid of the leader isn't the only way. Just as I teach in conferences that there is a lid, I also teach that you can raise it, but that's the subject of a different law of leadership. And that is chapter 1 of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership 25th Anniversary Edition. Now, if you have the book, you can do all the work in the back, and we're on to chapter 2.